lot to cover on the program today, and we also have a great guest schedule that I'm looking forward to talking to. I'm just still getting set up here. All right, welcome to the program, one and all, and I'm here to tell you that if you're on the roads this morning in South Florida, don't be unless you have to this early in the morning. Oh my goodness, when is hurricane season over? It's like tropical storm force winds out there, and it was pretty rough coming in this morning, guys, and oh man, if I did not have to be on the road, I would not be, but I know everyone's got to go to work early in the morning, so that's the way it is. All right, we got a lot going on, a lot happening on today's program. It's Thursday morning, November 16th, 2023. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio this year. And we've got a lot going on. We've got a lot to cover on the show today, and an incredible guest who I'm not going to identify right now, but we do have an incredible guest coming up on the program, and the reason we do that is a couple of reasons. One reason is sometimes when you have a very important guest, they may reschedule at the last moment, but when I first started this job, on the radio, I would announce guests in person, like on the air the day before. And by the way, this was my first week of having guests when I was at that level. And you know what I learned? This was nice, Mike. We have nice people in the audience. I remember once, this was a big interview with someone that was a national news person, and they were involved in a controversy at the time. And I said, tomorrow, I scored this big interview. And I was like, okay. And so I went in on another show and said, tomorrow we're having... A listener called the person, claimed to be my producer, and canceled the interview. Can you believe? This is what these people do. This is what these people do. Let me tell you how the trolls work in this audience. The most high-profile incident of this happening was... some of you who have been longtime listeners may remember this. This was insane what happened. This is when John Kerry was running for president against W. That's how long ago it was. But this is the longest running radio show in Florida, so things happened, decades ago. We still talk about it. We had these two listeners who were United States Marines and were listeners of the program and had just returned from the field of battle in Iraq. They were part of Operation Iraqi Freedom and were part of the operation to liberate Baghdad. And they were listeners, and they called me up. One was a sergeant, the other one was a gunnery sergeant. And the gunnery sergeant called on the air and said, "Hey, me and my buddy, we're just back, and we'd like to come on." And I said, "Okay, let me put you on hold." And I talked to them during the break, and I set it up. And we said, tomorrow, we're going to have two United States Marines just back from Iraq live in studios. Pretty exciting, right? Pretty exciting stuff, because the war was still going on. The search for WMDs was going on. Saddam Hussein was still alive. And I don't remember if he had been captured yet, because I don't remember the time. It's been a long time. So, it was very exciting. So we announced it, and that was what, 2004? Right? That's how long ago this was. That was the last time I ever announced a guest in advance, was because of this. And I didn't say their names or even their ranks. I said we're going to have two United States Marines live in studio tomorrow just returning from the field of battle in Iraq. They liberated Baghdad. So my cell phone rings that afternoon, and it is the office of the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. Had his aide call me. And I answered the phone, and he says, this is Captain so-and-so. I'm an aide to the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. And I said, what? Yeah, whatever. And so I got his number, and I said, I don't believe this. He says, I hear you're having 2 of our Marines on the radio tomorrow. I said, well, I don't know who you are, Captain, but give me your number, and I'll call you back. He gave me his number. He called me from the Pentagon, and I had to go through the Pentagon switchboard because I told him not a direct line. I need to go through a switchboard. So he sent me to the switchboard of the Pentagon, and I asked for the office of the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps. I don't even know where his office is, and they transferred me, and then I got the captain on the line. Can you believe? And he says, yeah. He says, we heard you're having a couple of our Marines. He said, you see, I'm real, right? I said, yeah, you're real, okay. He said, I heard you're having a couple of our Marines on the radio tomorrow, just back from Iraq. I said, yeah. I said, how do you know that? And he says, well, we got a call from this guy who said they shouldn't come on the show, that you're some anti-war, anti-military, anti-marine. And I said, one of our liberal listeners called you. And I said, listen, pull up I gave him the website. I said, pull up our website. This is our website. He did all this on the phone. He said, fine, you're cool, Brian. He said, but he says, Democrats, liberals are always trying to mess with the Marines. He says, don't tell me their names. He says, I don't want to know who they are. I couldn't believe this conversation. And he says, the Commandant doesn't want to know either. I was like, oh, wow, excuse me, the Commandant of the Marine Corps. He says, no, the Commandant doesn't want to. He says, but tell them this. When they come in, just call them up and say, don't wear your uniforms. He says, because if they're wearing their uniforms and these jerks make a complaint, they can get in trouble. They're allowed to speak their mind as long as they're not wearing the Marine Corps uniform. So I called the Marines up. They said, fine. We faced down the Iraqi army. One of these guys had been in Mogadishu during the Black Hawk Down incident. Okay? These are like, he's like, I've faced Al-Qaeda, the Iraqis. I was in Mogadishu. I'll take on. So they came in the next day, not in uniform. And so we never announced guests in advance. There's many other examples, but that one was the one that I just thought was disgusting. Here these guys, lucky to be alive, combat veterans from multiple conflicts with different presidents, and some liberal in the audience is trying to stop them from expressing their opinions. So we never announced guests in advance. So we have a guest scheduled at 8 o'clock that I'm looking forward to talking to. And that's how liberals are, guys. Okay, that's how liberals are. They are not about freedom. They are about oppression. They don't want freedom of anything. They're just like Nikki Haley, who wants everyone on social media to be verified by the government before you can post on Facebook or Twitter or any other social media platform. That's how liberals are. And also, as I said, we don't announce guests in advance as well, because sometimes when it's a VIP like we have today, they might end up on a national television interview at that time, and we get bumped to another day. That's another reason too. But the main reason is, liberals in the audience are always looking to mess things up. All right, we're going to take our first break, and when we get back, I'm going to get right into the issues. Oh man, a lot has happened since we last spoke. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Flow Rida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back. Don't sit on the sidelines. Oh, yeah, these liberals are just monsters. Monsters. Oh. Oh, man. The weather today was like dangerous to be on the road. I mean, the wind was blowing so hard, it was like pushing my car around I-95. It was really scary. But we are here, and we're ready to go. Oh, yeah, I've got a million stories like that. You know, Democrats are scum. Scum! Mm-hmm. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. And everyone, please like the video. This is the most pro-MAGA place you'll find anywhere. This, in fact, is where MAGA comes to talk. Yeah, this shirt, this is President Trump's high school graduation photo on this shirt. People ask me about this sometimes. The camera is barely on the stand that's holding it. It looks like it could fly out and hit me in the face at any moment, but it might be okay. I don't know. Should I adjust the camera? It might fly off the stand during the show. It could, because this mic's connected to it. I got a question, and this is a serious question. I think we all agree that Joe Biden wears adult diapers, right? Who changes Joe Biden's adult diaper? That's the question. Who changes Joe Biden's adult diaper? Does he have an aide? Is it Jill? Who does that? I don't know. I'm serious. No, I'm serious question. Jill? Yeah? Kamala? No, Jill wouldn't do that. There's no way Jill would do that. Hunter? Who knows? Yeah. Oh, oh my. A nurse? The Easter Bunny. Ah, yes, and don't forget, it is Medicare open enrollment period, the only time of year you can make changes to your existing Medicare policy, but there's only a few short weeks left, and once open enrollment period is over, you are stuck with whatever Medicare policy you have until next open enrollment next year. You want to call Debbie at I Will Advisors. She'll take care of your Medicare questions and make sure that you have a policy that is right for you. No matter where you are in the state of Florida, Debbie can help you with your Medicare. If you have a supplement, she'll make sure you're not paying too much. She'll make sure that you need that supplement. If you don't have a supplement, she'll check and see if you need one, and she'll get you a good one. And you know, Debbie at I Will Advisors, no matter where you are in the state of Florida, she can help you with your Medicare. Also, she represents all the major characters, all the major carriers, insurance carriers, all the major insurance carriers, not just one. So she'll make sure she finds the right policy for you, your needs, your budget, your medications, your condition, and all of that. Give her a call, 954-753-8080. Again, her family have been with us here on the Steve Kane Show, helping Steve Kane Show listeners with their Medicare since 1994. That's why I've got that number memorized. I mean, we've been giving that number out forever. And if you get an answering machine, leave a message. She will call you back, 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. All right, so let's get to it. The greatest president ever, Donald Trump, he's unbeatable. I mean, you know, and there's no scenario where Biden or anyone else really, because if they bring in another Democrat, the Democrat Party divide over passing over Biden and Kamala would be devastating, on top of the Robert Kennedy factor. So President Trump, there's no scenario where he's beatable, not just in the primaries. The primaries are over. I'm talking about the general election. On top of the fact that things in this country are so bad right now. I mean, things are tough. If things were going well in the country, it would be a different discussion. But they're not. And you know what? They're getting worse. Plus, we have a feeble, senile old coot as the president right now, who's corrupt, and everybody knows it. There's a new poll, I think it was 54% of Americans I'm surprised it's so low, but it's over 50%. 54% of Americans think Biden is mentally unfit to serve. That's something. That's significant. The other 46 are just lying or just not following the news. It's unbeatable. And Joe Rogan, I'm going to play this clip of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan came out in strong support of President Trump yesterday. I'm going to play you the audio. And this is very significant. Joe Rogan has more listeners each week than Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern had combined in their peak. Yeah, I'm serious. I know it's hard to believe, isn't it? But Joe Rogan has about 11 million listeners per episode of his podcast, and he does about 4 episodes a week. So right there is 44 million. Plus, that's not including other platforms and clips that it's on, that he runs, on different platforms. So he has minimum 44 million listeners per week, Joe Rogan. Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern, at their peaks on radio, combined had 40 million. They each had about 20 million listeners a week at their peak. That's a lot. But combined, Joe Rogan has more listeners each week than Rush and Howard Stern at their peak had combined. And another thing about it is Joe Rogan's audience is not a political audience. Many people like me, I don't listen to his show, okay? When there's something interesting happen, I do watch it. Or if I see he's done a celebrity interview that I'm interested in, I'll watch it sometimes, But his audience is not just political people, it's people across all different people that are interested in sports and entertainment and nothing else. And he also has a younger demographic. So, he's reaching more people than Rush and Stern combined at their peaks. So when Joe Rogan talks about Trump and politics, it's significant because his reach is so large. Now, when President Trump went to that fight the other night, he had an entourage that included Joe Rogan. And there were others there too. And then that comic's wife gave Trump the middle finger. That's all the media talked about. There were 20,000 people in that arena, and 19,999 of them were applauding. One woman gives him the middle finger. She might have given him both middle fingers, and that's all the news talks about. Not the 19,999 that were standing up, applauding, and loving all over the guy. The one woman. Give me a break. They call her an actress. That comedian's wife. I looked up her Internet Movie Database. She has 4, maybe 6 more credits than I have on the Internet Movie Database, and I don't have any credits on the Internet Movie Database, okay? Although I should have some credits because I have made TV appearances. I was once in the peanut gallery. My first television appearance was in the peanut gallery of the Howdy Doody show when it was filmed in Miami. Do you guys remember that at the Jackie Gleason Theater? Yeah, that's right. I made other TV appearances too. That's right. No, that's true. I was in the studio audience. Okay, so Joe Rogan talked about Trump. I'm going to play you this audio, and it's a big deal because of how large his reach is. Listen to this. This is Joe Rogan yesterday about Trump. The bleeps, most of the bleeps are the F word. Some of the bleeps are BS, and some are just S. But I had to add the bleeps because, it's Rogan. But the point is made when he goes through this, and it makes a lot of sense.
No one is going to run against Trump in the Republican side and win because you're not going to get the Trump supporters. They are all in on Trump. Unless he has a stroke, unless something happens that's horrible, they're all in on Trump. If you run against Trump, you're now the enemy of Trump. If I was friends with DeSantis, I'd be like, don't do it. You can't beat that guy. You just can't. When that guy gets out there and he's waving to people and they're going crazy, you're not beating that. And the fact that he was the president for 4 years and the country was in a great economic situation, and it looked like his policies were actually effective, and that it looked like the unemployment was down, all business was building, regulations were being relaxed, more things were getting done. You know, when you look at it from a policy perspective, if you just look at it on paper, what he did was effective. A lot of people think it was effective. You don't like him as a personality, so ignore that. Don't do that. Look at it in terms of a policy perspective. People liked the ideas that he was putting forward. And now you're seeing like, oh, the wall's raised. Now everybody thinks there needs to be a wall. Even the mayor of New York City is now calling to stop immigration into the city. And this was the guy that called it for it to be a sanctuary state. When the reality of what your policies, what kind of actions you put forth, what the results of that are, and those results are highly negative, you're forced to sort of recollect your thoughts and come up with a new perspective. And that's what the mayor of New York City is doing right now. When you just look at what Trump's policies were, and then obviously COVID hits, there's a lot to that, the lockdowns, the economic collapse, all that came with that. None of that is good. And then Trump holds up this like hope to bring us back to where we were when he was in office. You're not going to beat that. I don't think they're going to beat that. I don't think, when you look at the Russia collusion, when you look at the Steele dossier, when you look at all the that they tried to throw at him that we now know is not just but coordinated, when you look at the fact that they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story and that 51 intelligence agency representatives signed off on that to say that this was Russian disinformation, which they know is not true, that's scary, because now you have the intelligence agencies colluding to keep a guy from being president that was president during a time where the country was thriving economically. You're not going to beat that guy.
Would he get your vote?
He'd get my vote before, he'd get my vote before Biden. I said that before. I don't think that, I never thought that Biden was going to make it. I never thought that he was going to be functional. You know, like regardless of what kind of power the president actually has. And it appears under Trump, the president has a lot more power than we think they do. But under Biden, it's like he's handled. Like he's just out there talking and saying, the real problem is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, what he's done is terrible. What he did in the office. It's all nonsense. It's like everyone's treating him with kid gloves because they don't want to prop up Trump. They don't want to go after him because it'll weaken the Democratic Party.
And by the way, the person that's mumbling in the background, he's talking to Patrick Bet-David, who's been scoring all these big interviews lately. But that's pretty heavy coming from Joe Rogan, because he has influence over a lot of people, more than you realize. And his thoughts on Trump, not only is everything he said spot on, right on the money, and then some, but it shows how popular Trump is among people who formerly were not. And what I mean by that is Joe Rogan's kind of played both sides of this because he's afraid he wouldn't get guests or alienate his audience and things like this. And he's come out of the closet pretty much as MAGA right there, right? I mean, it's pretty amazing. All right, we'll take our break for the bottom of the hour. I'd like to hear from you and the audience about all these things and more, which I'm going to get into after the break. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE 1. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. Trump's doing so well. All right, let's get organized here. Oh. Boy, oh boy. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take some calls when we get back. All right. I'm just getting Rogan. I barely made it here in time because the weather was so bad driving in. Okay, I'm just getting my articles together that I want to cover. Mm. Did we get a consensus? What was it, when I asked who changes Biden's adult diaper? Who did the majority of the people say did it? I was curious. Because I came back and I lost track of the count there. John Pierre. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but who was the majority? No, we did not have enough to have a consensus? Okay. Corn Pop, that's a good guess. Corn Pop. I like that one. Corn Pop. Oh, yeah. The Butler? Yeah, the one they made the movie about? Oh, goodness. We'll be back shortly, guys. Just our bottom of the hour break. Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah. A lot of people say Obama. I think Obama won the guessing. More people said Obama than any other person, surprisingly.
Home buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house in South Florida and want to sell it fast for a great price, call me at 561-570-7070. I can pay cash and close in as little as 3 days or on your time.
Back after this commercial.
I can pay you a cash advance before the closing. I'm a local cash buyer and I'm looking to purchase more houses. I buy all types of properties in any condition, any price range, in any situation. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind employment houses. I will even buy foreclosures and haunted houses. Woo! Do you own a vacant house or one that is trashed and needs thousands in repairs? Great! I love buying fixer-uppers. Regardless of your situation, I understand that life happens, and I'm here to help you. If you own a home and want to sell it fast and easy, I'll buy it. Call me at 561-570-7070. That's 561-570-7070. 561-570-7070.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Sherry from New Jersey.
Hey, what's up, Sherry?
I just gotta tell you, Brian, that I think you're awesome, and I watch you every day, and I also listen to your podcast with your wife, Kathy. You guys are great.
Awesome, thank you. That's nice to hear.
And it's nice to tell you that. And also, I'm a big Trump person. I love him a lot, and he was the greatest president, and I look forward for him to be president again.
Oh, well, that's great. Me too. All right. Well, thanks for the call, and thanks for the support. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Have a good day.
All right. Isn't it nice to hear nice things? You know, so Biden, he's met with the Chinese president. And I was just reading this article during the break, which I'll get to in a minute, which is so absurd. But this is something that I am serious about. Okay, I'm not joking. I'm not making fun. I'm being serious about this. And you may not believe me, but I'm telling you the truth. This is a serious thing. Do you all agree that Joe Biden is in a very feeble state? Right? I mean, that's a given. I mean, that's not even, I'm not, we all agree with that. Do most of us accept the idea, and this is the part that I don't want you to think I'm joking about, because this is important. It won't sound like it. It'll sound petty. But do most of us accept that Joe Biden wears adult diapers? And I'm not joking, and I'm not bringing this up to make fun. Do you believe that Joe Biden wears adult diapers? Here in Florida, we have the oldest population in America. And we probably have more people wearing adult diapers in Florida than any other state in the union because of the age of our population. If you go to the grocery store, you go to Publix, you go to Walmart or Target, and you go to the personal care section, adult diapers sell like crazy. I mean, how many times have you been in line at Publix and there's been someone with a cart behind you or in front of you with a box of adult diapers? And hey, listen, that's part of growing older. I mean, that's just a sad thing about our future existence, and I'm not making fun, and I don't mean any disrespect for those that are having issues of incontinence. I don't want you to think I'm doing that. And if you or someone you love does, we should have a sponsor to help you with that. I don't know. Do we? I don't know. Does Lighthouse Medical help with it? I don't know. Do we have any sponsor? No, we should. We should. But no, if you or someone you love is suffering from incontinence and wear adult diapers, please do not take any disrespect from this conversation or think that I'm diminishing someone who wears adult diapers, because I have known people in my time that have, and all of us in our families at one point will have someone, and we maybe even be in that situation ourselves. That's just part of growing older. So I don't want anybody in this audience to think I'm making fun of you or someone else in that situation. But you, if you're listening to me, you're not the President of the United States involved in a summit meeting with the President of China. Whatever. And one thing, and this is, I know this sounds petty, but it's important. One thing about adult diapers is you can tell when people are wearing them because you can smell it, right? Have any of you ever been at a doctor's office or the mall or at Target or somewhere out in public, and you can tell the person in front of you or the person sitting across from you in the waiting room was wearing it? You can tell. You can smell it. If Joe Biden does wear adult diapers, and I believe that he does, and, look at how feeble he is. Believe me, everyone around him knows it, including the leader of China. What kind of message does it send to someone that is attacking this country, because they are every day, not just the balloons with their fentanyl poison, with the border issue? What kind of message does it send to the Chinese dictator when he's meeting with the President of the United States and he can smell the odor of the adult diaper? is that a show of strength? Is that a show of American greatness? That America, yeah, it's a problem, isn't it? I don't think anybody else will bring it up because it sounds, it's a bad thing to have to deal with. But if you're at that point in your life, you shouldn't be president of the United States. You shouldn't be charged with leading this country or representing this country in any way. And that's an awful thing. And it's not just him, it's these other leaders that he's always meeting with in the White House. Believe me, if he is wearing adult diapers, they know it because they can smell it. That's not good. And that can cause, if the Chinese dictator, and this is so true what I'm about to tell you, and I'd like to take your calls on this as well at 1-888-GO-CANE-1. And I'm not doing this to make fun or diminish anybody who wears adult diapers, but if the president of China gets a whiff of Joe Biden wearing an adult diaper, that could result in the invasion of Taiwan. That could result, just that odor could result in I don't know how many people's deaths, because he knows that this corrupt, senile old coot, who takes bribes, by the way, through his son and brother, is wearing adult diapers. He can't control himself. He's totally checked out. What's he going to do if we take China? What's he going to do if we flood more fentanyl poison into America? What's he going to do? Nothing. He can't even go to the bathroom properly with dignity. He's wearing adult diapers. And the thing about the adult diapers that gets difficult for people is someone's got to change them, and the person wearing them doesn't. And what happens, when we talk to Attorney Barry Siegel about Medicaid planning for home care and nursing home care, that's very important. What a lot of times families, they end up in situations where they got to take care of somebody that's incontinent, and it sometimes it's an adult child that has to do the changing of and it causes a lot of problems for everyone because it's inappropriate, it's uncomfortable for everyone. People lose dignity, So there's a lot that goes into that. But if the Chinese get an actual odor that he wears an adult diaper, and there's a confirmation of that, and by the way, if you have the odor, that means he's used it, that could get people killed. It's dangerous. And I mean that. I'm serious about that as a heart attack. On top of the fact that he's so feeble and checked out and suffering from all kinds of some type of senility and cognitive dysfunction and the such. It's very dangerous. And Democrats should be ashamed of themselves. We're going to take our last break of the first hour. When we get back, there's more to share. But I do want to hear from more of you in the audience about these things I brought up so far this morning. These are important things. And I know that last subject is a little uncomfortable and not the most top-of-the-line thing that people are going to talk about because it's such a strange topic, but that is an issue. It is a concern. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are calling us from, 888-465-2631. Remember, if you ever miss a portion of the program, each day Mike Arbordop uploads the entire radio show to our radio station website, trueoldiesfla.com. And you can go to trueoldiesfla.com every day about an hour after we sign off the air, and the entire show is uploaded there and is archived there forever. trueoldiesfla.com. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth.
I'm very serious about that. That was not joking. That was real serious business that I was talking about there. It is important because people could get killed. People could get killed by them. That could make that China could take that as a sign of America being so weak that they take Taiwan. I mean, do you guys agree or not with that? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... Well, it's a sign of how weak this country is. Knowing somebody is feeble and checked out and does these things through reports and such is different than being in their presence and experiencing it. You know? Like they are and have been. Big difference, you know, big difference in all that.
They're guaranteed never to lose money, guaranteed to earn interest, and protected from stock market losses. If you want your retirement plan to work like this, go to JupiterJoe.com or give me a call at 561-743-0999. Again, JupiterJoe.com, 561-743-0999.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now, the King Show.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I was just listening to the recorded message from Jupiter Joe there, and, you know, his offers to you are just so great. A free consultation with a financial advisor, and he's the financial advisor, Jupiter Joe Thomas. That's an amazing thing. And, you know, he talks about annuities so that he can protect your money, stop you from losing money, and guarantee you income. And most people I know that are retired, they want some income coming in, because once you're retired, you're out of the workforce, you're not making new salary, you don't have more money coming in. You want what you already have to grow. And obviously, if you are a wealthy person, Joe Thomas can help you. But he also can help you if you're not wealthy. And I was surprised how little money it takes to get involved in annuities. It's absolutely amazing. Protecting your money, stop you from losing money, and guaranteeing you income. It's an amazing offer. Plus, he's offering free copies of his book, The Retirement Know-It-All. Now, no matter where you're located, give Joe Thomas a call. I'm going to give you his number. Call and set up your free phone consultation. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the South Florida area, Jupiter, that's where Don Jr. lives, in Jupiter, and Kim Guilfoyle. So Jupiter's, it's a fancy schmancy place. I love Jupiter. I go there all the time. They have that beautiful lighthouse. If you've not taken the Jupiter Lighthouse tour, you should. You know, and you want a financial advisor who's in a place like Jupiter, okay? That's if you get my drift. You don't want a financial advisor. Well, I shouldn't name a place like Margate or something, but you want a financial advisor from, you know, a place like Jupiter, where Don Jr. lives. If you understand what I mean by that. Here's his number. And again, if you missed this number, go to his website, JupiterJoe.com, and you can get the number there to get both the free book and set up your free phone consultation with financial advisor Joe Thomas, no matter where you are located. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. Or just go to JupiterJoe.com and get the number there. Okay, so getting back to everything, because a lot is happening here, and I just lost where my article was that I wanted to. Oh yes, okay. I want to just read through this. This is in Breitbart, And it's about this summit meeting with Biden and Xi. And I want you to just listen to the beginning of this. President Joe Biden and the Chinese dictator had their much-touted face-to-face meeting in San Francisco yesterday, spending about 4 hours dining and walking the grounds of the historic Filoli estate. Two major outcomes were touted by the White House. The Chinese agreed to resume U.S.-China military communications. Okay, that's the first one. Why does our military need to talk to their military? What is that all about? Why are our militaries in communication? In fact, I find that quite troubling. If you remember, on January 6th, when General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and I did not realize this until after January 6th, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has no military command. Did you know that? They're not the boss of the Pentagon or anyone. Now, of course, they're a four-star general, a full general, no matter what branch they're in, so you have to give them, the honor of their rank and such, but they have no military command at all whatsoever. None. They're not in charge of the Pentagon. They're simply a military advisor to the president. Did you know that? I didn't realize that. I mean, maybe I've heard it before, but I never really thought about it. But then General Milley committed a lot of treasonous acts. One, he took control from the president, Donald Trump, of the nuclear arsenal. Remember that? He illegally seized control of America's nuclear weapons. He did some other things too, including, without authorization, calling up his counterpart in the Chinese army. Remember that? And he brags about that like that was a good thing. Why is he calling up his counterpart in China? He's not an elected official who holds office. He has no military command. And I thought that was really disturbing. It was really, in many ways, a 7 days in May military coup thing going on there, calling up the Chinese army like he did and taking control of the nuclear arsenal. But I don't know why our militaries should be communicating. Now, again, our government should be communicating, but not our military. So they've agreed to do that, and I don't know what that means. And then the Chinese dictator promised to help reduce production in China of fentanyl, which is killing Americans every day. Tens of thousands of Americans are dead because of fentanyl. So here's the other thing. What does he mean, help? That means he's going to do nothing. If he's a dictator, he could stop it. He could pick up the phone right there in San Francisco, back home to China, and tell them to shut down every fentanyl production facility in China, and it would be done before he got back to the room. To tell Biden he did it because he's a dictator. It's a police state, China. And I know China said they'll get involved in, they have no territorial gains, they said yesterday. They're not involved in a hot or cold war. Are you kidding me? How many Americans are dead because of China over the past 3 years? Millions, maybe. Millions, nationwide, in every state, for all kinds of reasons beyond just fentanyl. Another thing is, why do you think this summit's happening in San Francisco? Aren't you curious to know who else is meeting with the Chinese? And I don't mean just him. I'm talking about his entourage. We know that China has a major, hardcore, multi-decade spy operation, not just in the United States, which they have, but throughout California, right? I was talking yesterday, we had Fang with Swalwell. Feinstein had a 20-year spy, and Feinstein was from San Francisco. And I personally suspect, again, I'm not in the deep state, so I have no confirmation of this, but I don't think this is a wild guess. I believe that this meeting took place in San Francisco because San Francisco is where the Chinese U.S. spy operations is headquartered. And there's evidence of that through the Feinstein connection. And yeah, I do believe that. And they want the entourage there so they can check in with whoever is leading the Chinese spy operation in the United States. And do God knows what. But if he wanted to stop the fentanyl, if he was serious about that, he wouldn't promise to try to help. He could do it. But he doesn't want to do it because it weakens our country. The other thing is that is deadly in many ways too, in different ways than fentanyl, which is from China, is TikTok. This entire gender thing that's going on in this country has grown through TikTok. All right? And without getting too deep into it, TikTok is out of China. Everybody knows that. Everybody agrees with that. And what TikTok does is artificially inflate people's TikToks to reach millions of people to further certain agendas. And when this trans thing started with a few people on TikTok, all of a sudden, nobodies who were trans would have 50 million, 100 million views, likes, and everything else, and shares on TikTok. And China, what China has done is made this transgender thing a fad in this country. And where's it the strongest? In our young men and women. And we have a generation of Americans that are involved in this transgender thing because they made it an acceptable thing, a fad, an in thing through TikTok China. They're doing many other things too, but the impact of China and their propaganda through TikTok is something I don't think many people deal with or understand. I do. You know, when I was in California over the weekend, I saw, and this is not an exaggeration, I saw more transgender people in California over the weekend than I've seen in the rest of my life combined in person. Everywhere I went, there was at least one transgender person. You know, and that's all through TikTok. That's a major attack on us by China for a number of reasons. One, it weakens our military because we're losing military-age men and women through this. It affects our birth rate because young people are not having heterosexual sex in numbers that they used to. So there's no pregnancies from millions of young people because they're all into that gender stuff that's going on. And this is all very effective work that's been done by China. You know, I've known Chinese people throughout my entire life, and you guys probably have too. And I'll tell you this, I've never known people smarter than Chinese people in my life. From the time I was in first and second grade, there was a Chinese girl in my class in first or second grade. I still remember her name, Po Manchu. Po-Manchu was her name. She's probably run some big company and is worth $500 million today. She was doing long division and multiplication before the rest of us in first grade even knew what long division and multiplication were. Chinese people are very, very smart. I know Chinese people today in this country. They're brilliant minds. And China has done things to this country in so many ways that no one's talking about. And this fake summit is just a way for Joe Biden to get paid. I'm sorry to tell you. And I think everybody knows that. Like everything else he does. It's an income-generating opportunity because that's all he cares about. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take our break for the top of the hour. We'll come back with calls. I got more to discuss, too. And in the 8 o'clock hour, we have a guest scheduled who I hope will be with us. If they're not here, they'll reschedule. But I hope they're here with us today in the 8 o'clock hour because this is somebody I'm very interested in talking to. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening to us. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Back after this.
WWNN Pompano Beach, WIRK HD.
I'll be right back, guys. All right. Yeah, we'll have to do it coming out. What time was his call-in scheduled today? Can you move any of those commercials to that break, or is it not possible?
I probably can. I was going to say, because I know sometimes Christina doesn't even book commercials at that time slot.
Okay.
The live spots.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can put it in here.
Okay.
Championships this week with big guaranteed events, live streaming, and more. You can also play your favorite casino table games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em or 3-card poker with $5 minimum tables 7 days a week. For more information, go to ppkennelclub.com. Here's your True Oldies ABC News update. ABC News now. I'm Tom Rivers. Word of a potential breakthrough involving Hamas-held hostages in Gaza as Israel continues to wage its war on the group. There's new movement toward a deal to free at least 50 of the hostages being held by Hamas, including women and children. They would be released in exchange for a temporary ceasefire and the release of Palestinians held in Israeli jails. But sources say Israel has requested a 3-day ceasefire while Hamas is demanding 7 days. ABC's Justin Finch. Democratic Party headquarters in Washington evacuated Wednesday night after a large number of Palestinian supporters massed outside, demanding a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. 6 police officers hurt in clashes. After a meeting lasting 4 hours Wednesday, President Biden and China Xi touted modest agreements, two powers militaries to resume direct communications. This is ABC News. Shop Black Friday every day. Get the best new deals all month long. Only at Lowe's. Right now, shop the lowest prices of the year on select major appliances and save an extra $100 for every $800 you spend on select major appliances. And get up to 45% off select tools and accessories. Because Lowe's knows deals. Down to 11/15 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Appliance
What's that? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Slow and Shield. That's 833-283-5050 now to get your free doorbell camera and free home security system. 1-833-283-5050.
The Jupiter Joe Money Show presents Christmas Oldies at Noon. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Join the True Oldies channel Feel the magic of the season with 1 hour of your holiday favorites. It's Christmas Oldies each day at noon. The True Oldies Channel. On the air since 1977. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. We're back. Hour number 2 has begun. You know, have you seen this story about Barbara Streisand saying she's going to leave the country if Trump is reelected? Didn't she say she was going to leave the country if George W. Bush was reelected? Didn't she already leave, Barbara Streisand? You know, this, I wasn't going to share this with you guys because I didn't think it was relevant, but now that Barbara Streisand's in the news, I guess it is. Last week, I listened on the radio to an interview with Barbara Streisand about her life and career. She's got a new book out, so she's doing these interviews. And I listened to an interview that she did on National Public Radio. And I listened to the whole thing. I caught the beginning of it. And I listened to the whole interview, and she's really a sad person. Her whole life, she's a victim. Her mom, her dad, she never knew. Her stepdad, Elliot Gould, had a gambling problem. Her co-stars on Broadway sexually harassed her, you know. I mean, she's been a victim her whole life. And I wasn't feeling well that day. This is crazy. It's so stupid how people have an impact on you. And I told my wife, I said, I don't know what's going on. I said, I feel really sad and depressed today. I don't know why. Show was awesome. Life's good. You know, I was getting ready to go see our daughter. I was all excited. And I said, I feel so depressed. And I said, I don't know why. She's like, what do you, and I don't know. And then later in the day, I said, you know, I just realized what it is. I listened to that Barbara Streisand interview on National Public Radio, and she made me just physically and emotionally depressed. She's a depressive person. You know what I call people like that? Poison people. I cut them out of my life. Poison people. People that are always negative, always down, always a victim. I call those poison people. And I don't have any of those people in my life. When I do, they're out of it. Some of them have been callers on this program over the years. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Brian, this is Dan from New York.
Yes, what's up?
How you doing? Hey,
I'm all right.
You know, yeah, good. Aren't you tired of listening to these politicians bellyache about Israel when we were having problems, like down the southern border, and our people getting attacked, but they keep on talking about, like, Elise Stefanik, she's running her mouth about Israel and, you know, attack, which I feel sorry for other countries and stuff like that, but we should be talking about what's happening down in our southern border right now, not other countries.
Well, so what you're saying is you want to hear America first, not Israel.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, no, I'm glad you brought that up. No. I'm not sick of hearing about it. In fact, what happens in Israel has everything to do with what's going on in this country. I know the mainstream. I'm answering your question. You have to listen. Okay. Twice now, the Palestinians have attacked our United States Congress. They shut down Congress. Palestinians invaded the Capitol last week during session and shut down Congress. Also last week, they attacked the White House, climbing the fences of the White House. There's a town in America, I forget where it's at now, they're flying a Palestinian flag on the town's flagpole. I'm shocked that it's, at least they have the American flag above it still, but it's right under the American flag. You've seen what's going on our college campuses. You may not have noticed, but we have millions of Palestinians in this country that are supporting terrorists. So what happens in Israel has everything to do with America first and what goes on in this country, because we have millions of these terrorists and terrorist supporters in this country. So far as the southern border, that's important, but we can multitask. So no, what's going on in Israel is very important to us.
Because of Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama.
Correct. So our supporting Israel, no, that is support of Israel is an American first policy. Yeah, I mean, I was look, I was listening to the news at the top of the hour, right? And they said Israel continues its war on Gaza. I thought they were defending themselves from a god-awful attack where they raped and murdered women and kidnapped women and kidnapped children and kidnapped adults. I mean, what is this war on Gaza? Gaza is war with them. No, supporting Israel is an American first policy.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Well, no, what are your thoughts on that now that I explained that to you?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, what are your thoughts now that I answered your question and you asked me what my thoughts were? You said, are you tired of it? And I gave you my thoughts. What's your response? You don't have a response?
Yeah, I think we should be to think about our borders first.
Well, it's more. Listen, it's more. Hold on, slow down. It's more. Hold on. It's more than just the southern border. Don't you understand that we have Palestinian terrorist supporters in the United States Congress? They're inside our borders.
In this country, letting them in.
Well, yeah. So we got so Israel is.
We need a real president.
Yeah. But don't you? Oh my gosh! Like Adolf Hitler. We need Adolf Hitler. Oh my goodness. Okay. You know what you got there? You got a Nazi that hates Jews. That's what you got there. He said, "Are you tired of Israel?" And then he let it out. He's a Nazi. Okay. No need to talk further with that guy about that. Once you're talking to a Nazi, now you understand why he doesn't support Israel. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brother Brian. How are you? Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff. Wow. Haven't talked to a Nazi in a while.
I just read 3 short verses in the Bible.
All right.
Genesis chapter 12, 1 through 3. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, from thy father's house unto a land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those that bless you. I will curse him that curse you. And in you shall all families of the earth be blessed. And we as a nation that are always defend and protect God's chosen people, the Jewish nation.
That's correct.
That is with a blessing.
Yes.
Two, we need to secure our border. And we do need to rebuild our military like Trump did. And we do need education reform, justice reform. It goes down the line, but it starts with faith in God. And that's what blessed Abraham. He believed God, and it was unto him for righteousness.
All right, Jeff. I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Jeff's calls are always good, but if I start having people call in with, people kind of, put me in a bad spot with the Bible verses because I'm Christian. I don't want to shut down the word and all of that, but calling in with Bible verses is, it's radio death. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Oh, I'm losing track of everything. All right, listen. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll take a break and be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show.
All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
All right, what do you have for us today?
Well, next week on the 21st, we have our next Living Trust seminar. It's going to be in the afternoon at our Boca Raton offices at 2 p.m. And I do know we still have some seats available for that. And even though it's a Living Trust seminar where we're going to cover, what is a living trust, what you want to have in a will-drafted living trust, and all the important things you need to know about making sure it's properly maintained and serviced. But we're also going to touch on the things you need to do now to make sure that you're set up so that if you or your spouse need long-term care in the future and you don't have long-term care insurance or enough, some of the things that you may need to do now to ensure that you're in a position to qualify to get the government benefits to offset those costs so you don't run out of money during your lifetime. Because really, if we do everything right with your estate plan, you have it all set up properly, but you and your spouse have nothing or next to nothing at the time that you're no longer here, then it really doesn't matter because nothing is left. So we want to make sure that you have an estate plan that works, and part of it is still having an estate at the time of your passing. So we're going to cover all of that, the elder law part of it, which is the asset protection from the cost of long-term care, and of course teach people some of the important things that they may not know about setting up an estate plan so that it will work not just today, but down the road at the time that they actually need it. They'll learn our updating system, they'll learn about bloodline protection, and many other things. And it's worth the price of admission, which of course is free. So
that's right.
Worth much more than that.
Yeah, and I've been to a dozen or more of Attorney Barry Siegel's workshops, and every one I've gone to, I've learned something new in. Even though I've been to so many of them. And, of course, trusts are for wealthy people. Like look at Robert Kennedy Jr. running for president. He's got no worries in the world because of the Joseph Kennedy Trust. But trusts are not just for rich people. They're for middle-class people. They're for working-class people. They're for everyone. Especially, I think, they're for people, Barry, the less you have, the less you can afford to lose to probate, right? So, a trust is not just for rich people, guys. It's for everyone. Give Attorney Barry Siegel a call. And if you could make it to that workshop, please do. When you call, they'll give you information on that as well as directions. You can find them online at SiegelLawGroup.com. And remember, it's a no-charge consultation with the Siegel Law Group if you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the radio. You can also call 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk tomorrow.
All right, Brian, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, back after this.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world. True.
All right, call us on hold. Stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We've covered a lot today. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. It's Sandra from Boca.
Hey, Sandra. What's up?
So I was listening to you today about the diaper thing.
No, I'm being serious about that, though.
Oh, I know. But I just, I'm sure you can agree that he doesn't need to be in a diaper for any country to take advantage. Or look at his administration from the beginning to now. Look at all these countries that have taken advantage of us, taken advantage of other countries, Ukraine, now this thing with Israel, then Afghanistan. The list goes on and on and on. So you're right. I think him going to China has just been, for him.
No, San Francisco. Well, I guess San Francisco may be part of China, but it's San Francisco. See, that what I was telling you, though, it's a difference knowing or getting intelligence briefings as opposed to walking next to the man and smelling the adult diaper. And when you are a snake, like the Chinese are, and you get a whiff of that adult diaper, you're getting confirmation 100% that you can have your way with the world, and America can do nothing to stop you.
Yeah, I just think that regardless of the diaper thing, I think that's what they think anyway.
Yeah.
Believe that. I mean, because look at everything that's happened, and it's not over yet. His presidency is not over yet.
Well, and I'll tell you this thing about the balloons, which those spy balloons flew over a very deliberate, navigated path over our nuclear missile sites throughout America, as well as our most secret air bases where our stealth fighters and bombers are located, among other things. And what China was doing was getting updated mapping information for their weapons, their nuclear weapons, and attacks on this country. What else would they be doing that for? Why did they update their maps? Are they planning on attacking us? I hope not, but that was a very strange thing they did.
And what kind of a country doesn't have a border? Have you ever heard of such a...
Yeah, the United States of America.
Without besides us. But I'm just saying that I've never heard of such a thing, that they're just letting everybody in. I think the count when I saw this other video, I forgot who I saw it with on YouTube, was 70,000 special interest people have been, marked as being like special interest, like they could be terrorists. But what about the people that we don't know about?
I want you guys to understand something here. There is an island in the Rio Grande that is U.S. territory that is being held by the cartels. For the first time in our lives, the United States has an area that is occupied by a foreign force. Well, think about that. The Japanese held some islands in the Aleutians in Alaska during the Second World War, but that was a territory. It wasn't a state yet, and it's also not the mainland. But we have U.S. occupied. I know it's a small little island in the middle. It's not an island with running water or anything, but it's still a patch of American soil that is being occupied by the cartels that are armed like a military force with military-grade weapons. That's scary, and Biden doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about anything, actually. But anyway, the other thing I was going to say is all he has to do is stand in the presence of these people, and they know that there's some cognitive issue there.
Yes.
So what do you think? I mean, we talk about it in this country. We do. We talk about his cognitive decline.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone all over the place. That's why everybody's taking these opportunities to invade other countries and do the things that they're doing, because they know that he's not with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big part of it. What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, we're weak. I mean, there's no chain of command in this country. The agencies of government are being run by themselves. There's a bunch of little dictators running the Pentagon, running the Interior Department. Every agency is running itself. So even on 9/11, I mean, we had these war criminals as running the country then, but we had strong leadership on 9/11. George Bush and Dick Cheney, and the people they had around them were strong leaders. And even then, there was chaos. You have a senile old coot, Willie Brown's girlfriend, and a military that's more concerned about gender affirming care and critical race theory than military running our Pentagon. How could we respond to anything?
I think Afghanistan was the mark. I think that's what set everybody off, because it was just a disgrace. Let's face it. I mean, all those weapons being left behind, all the chaos that was there, all our military people that got... See, I think that's... that my thought is different on that. I thought like you did at first, but now I think that was done on purpose, because we had all that new weaponry, the Black Hawks, the everything, right? Billions of dollars. What did that force us to do when we left all that behind? Leave it there. Well, but it had to be bought again. The military needed it. So the military-industrial complex donors, Biden had to buy all that stuff again. I think he left it behind on purpose for several purposes. I think he wanted the Taliban to have it because China's reverse engineering all of our computers and those helicopters and tanks that were left behind, but also to pay off the donors. We had to buy everything left behind again. I didn't look at it that way. That's what they did. That's what Biden did. And I wonder if an open border is a plan. Yeah, there's something about it. I mean, there's just something not right about it. There's something not right about it. Yeah, it's just too strange for me. I'm not a conspiracy person. Listen, there have always been illegals coming across the southern border, but what's coming across now is death with the fentanyl. Yes. So don't you find that strange? What country will not defend itself by trying to stop that? The United States of America. All right, take care. Thanks for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Connie, conservative value. First thing I'd like to say is, you mentioned Barbara Streisand. She's such a phony, fantastic voice, but unfortunately she's the worst person I've ever heard as an anti-American Republican hater. And I'm hoping that the media will be at her door when President Trump gets elected and with a limousine to take her to the airport.
Yeah.
Wave goodbye. But she's not going anywhere. She's just a phony. When you mentioned this 54%, I heard somebody, first of all, I thought that was a really low number, because how many people must realize that Joe Biden doesn't belong as being president? But I heard somebody being interviewed by somebody who may believe he was for Joe Biden. And he asked this woman, who are you voting for? She said, well, I'm voting for Joe Biden. Oh, yeah, I'm for Joe Biden. And he starts mentioning all the failures. And I'm for this failure, I'm for that. What do you think? She says, what are you being sarcastic? So there's a lot of people still in this country that all they care about is voting Democrat as the Americans that are like that, man. It's really depressing to find out that there's so many people that will still be voting for Biden.
Yeah, it is. I know. It's scary. It's scary.
Yep.
All right, Doug. Take care. Take care. All right. Now, listen, we're coming up on our bottom of the hour break. When we get back, I know some serious things we're dealing with today, but these are serious times. If you're on hold, stand by. When we get back from the bottom of the hour, there is much more to cover, and I'm going to get into some things that I wasn't planning on, but because of the lady that called a few minutes ago, I want to get to it when we get back from the break about things going on in this country that just make no sense at all. Our number is 1-888-GO-CANE-1. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll go to the calls as well after the break. 1-888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. That's right, celebrating 46 years on the radio. That's absolutely amazing. Almost half a century on the radio, The Steve Kane Show. That's an amazing thing. I can't believe it myself sometimes when I say it. We'll be right back after this.
Making morning radio great again. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Yes.
The greatest rock and roll hits of the 60s and 70s coming up this morning. From the Palm Beach Patio Furniture Weather Center, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created, here's the oldies forecast.
Good morning, everybody. A high wind warning's up with gusts in excess of 50 miles an hour. It's going to be blustery and rainy throughout the course of the day in South Florida. I'm WPBF 25 First Morning meteorologist Sandra Shaw.
Weather brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture. Voted in the best of the best patio store in Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
And now, a true oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
In the Palm Beaches, the major expressways are crash-free at this time and moving up to full speed, but we are experiencing storm force winds. Several areas with down limbs and electrical wires also in the area, so please watch out for repair crews. Be sure to use caution out there on the roads. We do have an accident on 45th Street at Congress Avenue, also on Congress Avenue south of Summit Boulevard. Also a crash on Dr. MLK Jr. Boulevard at Southwest 3rd Street. This report is sponsored by Discover. Did you know Discover wants everyone to feel special? That's why with your Discover card, you can access 24/7 customer service, as well as $0 fraud and liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Limitations apply. Let's drop from Chris Barr.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. It's showtime.
Get your tickets now for upcoming events at the Paddock Restaurant, the area's incredible dinner show destination. Enjoy a fabulous three-course dinner and acts like Let It Be, the ultimate tribute to the Beatles on November 17th, and Chris McDonald's Merry Christmas Baby event December 15th. And check out December comedians Andrew Dice Clay for 2 shows, Jackie Martling and Jimmy Fallon. For tickets, go to pbkennelclub.com.
author Stephanie Tayo comes a book that takes place in Cornwall. It seems that dreams can come true, and life feels uncomplicated. But one young woman's world is about to be forever transformed.
I'm queuing up some things for the next segment. By the way, guys, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. No doubt about that, right? Oh, yes. Because I'm changing up the way I was going to go. I was going to do something else this segment, but because that lady called in, I'm pulling up a couple different things to do. Oh. Oh, okay. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I'm switching up what I was going to do in this segment because of that lady that called in about the border. And a couple of clips I wanted to play. Did you guys see Marjorie Taylor Greene this week? I was watching this before the show, and I wasn't going to play this today. I was probably going to play it tomorrow or something, or in the next hour. But I'm going to play this now. You know, what's going on in the southern border, while there have always been immigrants illegally crossing the border, it's never been like this before. There's never been a wave like this. And what I mean by that is there's never been one so large with a purpose. People have come here for a great many reasons, okay, illegally. Many of the ones they're doing now, but not in such numbers, okay? And everyone claims to be either Venezuelan or Cuban because of the communist state thing. They get a special amnesty when they come here and claim they're from Venezuela. But how do you know they're from Venezuela or Cuba? Because they say so? Come on. It's a racket they got going on down there. And the main purpose, there's many, many purposes. So I'm not going to go through all of them. But the main purpose of what's going on is from the southern border right now is the drugs, the fentanyl. That's the main purpose. There are many others, but that's the main purpose. And, you know, when I was a kid growing up, drug trafficking here in Florida was so hardcore. I've talked about this many times. Why do you think Miami Vice became such a hit show in the 80s? It's because, you know, have you ever seen that documentary, Cocaine Cowboys? You got to watch it. Not Cocaine Cowboys 2. Don't watch that. That's awful. The first one, Cocaine Cowboys. Drug trafficking through Florida was a big deal. They brought it over on cigarette boats. They brought it over on airplanes. And I told you guys, many times when I was a kid, I was fishing on the Kissimmee River or Lake Okeechobee with my dad, and drug trafficking was so bad, we would just watch the sky for planes flying over all that empty land around Lake Okeechobee, tossing bales out of them. Sometimes the planes had no numbers on them. And that drug trafficking now isn't done by these risky smuggling operations by plane or boat. They just put the fentanyl in the pockets of the illegals. I mean, I understand there's many other purposes. This isn't the only one. But that's the most immediate because people are dying in such numbers. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's talking to Mayorkas, who not only should be impeached, he should be removed from office, but what good would that do? Biden would just plug in some other open border guy in charge of our border protection. But listen, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene with Mayorkas.
Secretary Mayorkas, I want you to look at these innocent Americans. Do you see them?
I do, Congresswoman.
They are dead. They're from Dalton, Georgia, in my district. They're dead because a 17-year-old, likely affiliated with the cartels, was smuggling illegal aliens into our country in Texas, breaking our laws, and this happens every single day in our country. Earlier this week, 8 Republicans joined the Democrats and protected your job. But I want you to know, you have a short time coming. You can honorably resign, or we are going to impeach you, and it's happening very, very soon.
Okay, and this is what blows my mind about that. Mayorkas knows this. I mean, she had 2 constituents murdered by a cartel guy. And everything that's going on. How does Mayorkas process this, would you think? What do you think goes through his mind with something like this? How does he process Americans getting killed, Americans dying each and every day because of his policies, because of what he and his administration are doing? I don't know. We're in this weird area now where these, the radicalism that began in this country during the Vietnam War, those lunatics are now running the government. And for the first time, it's been a slippery slope for many decades, but for the first time, the entire government, it was bad during Obama, but not this bad. For the first time, the entire government is being run by people that hate this country and want other countries to prosper and other people other than Americans to prosper in many different ways. And the reason I say that it's worse than during Obama, because when Obama was in, I'm not talking about just the secretaries of this or that, Obama did one of the largest hirings of people in the bureaucracy. So now people that aren't in hearings, that work in different government agencies, have infiltrated every level of our government. It's never been this bad. And I just blows my mind that Mayorkas isn't ashamed. He's not embarrassed. He's not humiliated. He's proud of what he's doing. Just doesn't make sense. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yeah, you're on the air. Yes. Hey, Pennsylvania, what's up?
I'm just knowing that they're trying to rule everything, but they won't get away on the end because they're going to have the warmest place in the entire universe.
Okay. All right. Okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
James from Boca.
Hey, what's up, James in Boca?
Hey, Brian. Have you heard about the SWAT officer that was killed in Austin, Texas, a couple days ago?
I have not.
His name is George Pastor, and in Austin, Texas, he was shot by someone that was off the terrorist list that they found, and the guy had bomb-making materials.
Yeah. I have heard of that. Now that you mention the details, yeah.
Here's the beginning of it. If they got one guy, how many more are there? This is what's so scary about this open border, that we do not know who's coming through it.
Yeah.
And this is a life in America now.
Well, what do you think the big picture is with the Democrats allowing this? How do they process it? I think we just have a bunch of people that love other countries and hate this one that are running every level of our government.
I don't know if it's good or evil, or, you know, I mean, like you said just a minute ago about Mayorkas, I mean, how does he sleep at night? What does he think? You know, is he sleeping on a mattress full of...
Well, this is what I've used this example before to understand these people. You know the actor Benedict Cumberbatch? Benedict Cumberbatch, he's an actor. He's been on many things. He's been in movies and things. But he plays villains sometimes, and sometimes he plays good guys. You know, I saw him on an interview, and they asked him, how do you play a villain? And he gave an answer. He says, villains don't think they're villains. Villains think they're the hero, right? And so when you play a villain, you play it like you are the hero because you think you're the hero. So, like Joe Biden with all these bribes, he thinks he's the hero of his family. He's doing this to set up his family financially forever. He thinks he's the greatest dad in history, Joe Biden. They don't think they're evildoers. They think that they're heroes. Mayorkas, I don't know enough about his background to understand how he processes it. Maybe, like Biden, he wants to get rich. Maybe he cares about other countries more than us. I don't know. But evil people, even Ted Bundy, all these interviews, the serial killer Ted Bundy, if you guys don't know, the reference, he blamed the girls. He said they got in my cars. So he blamed the girls for murdering them. So evil people don't see themselves as evil. I know that's a hard concept and it's very cerebral, and I don't usually get too cerebral on the program, but that's how these people, these evil people running this government, that's how they think. They think we're the evil ones.
To sleep at night, that's the only way they could think, because right now I have a hard time sleeping.
Yes.
For what's going through this country, groceries, gas, illegal.
Well, listen, and here in Florida, here in Florida, you're in Boca. Head out to 441 and go north of Atlantic where all the farms are, and go into the gas stations, and see the people that are in there. I mean, we have, Ron DeSantis running around, woke goes to die. You know how many illegals are in this state? Florida is more of an agricultural state than people realize. It's more of a farm state than it is a tourist state. People don't realize that. That's why when Bill Maher says, why are you wearing cowboy boots? People wear flip-flops in Florida. This is a big farming state. We have so many illegals in this state, people don't realize. And I know DeSantis flew some plane loads of people, and he used to be all right, but what's he done about it in the last 2 years?
No. Yeah. So many of them now, no one knows what to do with them. New York was.
Well, no. This is what you do. This is what you do. You make it impossible for them to find work. You make it impossible for them to function. And there are ways to do that, but they don't want to do it.
Says if you're caught,
Oh, if you're caught.
Somebody's over 25 people, but still.
No. There's ways to do it. They don't really want to do it. Because a lot of people, listen, we've, for example, here in Florida, the sugar growers in Florida are a big lobby group. They got a lot of money. You don't think illegals are working in all these sugarcane fields around Lake Okeechobee? Of course they are. And they got a lot of juice. Do they really want the illegals out? No. So that's the way it is. We never talked about the border before Trump came down the escalator because no one... Republicans would reference it, but they weren't going to do anything about it. We didn't talk about it on this program because it was an issue that no one was going to do anything about till Trump came down the escalator. And he pretty much stopped it, the incoming, worrying about the ones here. Yeah, that's step two, But, only Trump will shut down the border and move towards deportations. And there are many ways to do it. Listen, I got to run for a break, but good call from Boca. All right, back after this.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Are you living your best life? Are you feeling the way you know you should be? This is John, CFO at Lighthouse Medical Center. Our hormone optimization therapy programs have helped so many people get back to feeling the way they did in their 20s. They're full of energy after a long day, reduced their risk of heart disease, sexual vigor, and
oh my goodness. I know, it's serious business. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. And everyone like the video. This is the most pro-Donald Trump MAGA place you will find anywhere. You'll never hear me disagree with President Trump.
found in all of South Florida. Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious. Crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside. Everything homemade. Nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road.
Yeah, it's no use talking about an issue that no one's going to deal with. That's why we didn't cover it back then. Yeah, Trump's the greatest.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, now I want to talk about the Thomas Edison of sleep, the inventor of the MyPillow, Mike Lindell. I live in a MyPillow household. I have almost every product, and all the products I have from MyPillow, I have bought all of them with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Sometimes Mike Lindell will have his assistant call me and say, "Hey, we want to send you this," and I already have it. I already have it, and I don't mind paying for these things because some of them are 80% off. I want to talk now, though, about one of my favorite, which are the 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets from MyPillow. And my wife and I, we have several sets of these. They're just $29.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. These are very special sheets. They have flannel as well as regular, and we have both. I think we have 2 sets of flannel and then 4 regulars. Whatever. But the Giza Cotton Dream Sheets are very special sheets, and I'll tell you why. Giza cotton is the finest cotton in the world. They are made of 100% Giza cotton. Mike Lindell says that there are others who advertise Giza sheets, but they only have 10% Giza cotton. Mike's at MyPillow.com are 100% Giza cotton, and they perfectly regulate your body temperature, which is amazing. Amazing. We wash our sheets all the time, and we've had them since they were first available. The first set we bought looked like the day they arrived with all the washings and dryings they've had, because everything Mike Lindell makes is high quality and made to last. But I'll tell you what the coolest thing is about the 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, which again, just $29.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout. Come in many different colors, regular flannel, solid stripes, make great Christmas gifts. You got to use our promo code Kane though, Kane. This is the coolest thing about them. When you put on the fitted sheet, the bottom sheet, it fits on the mattress perfectly, all 4 corners. And I've had every sheet you can imagine my whole life. And when you're putting on that bottom sheet, you get the first corner on perfectly, right? The second corner on, okay. The third corner is a struggle. The fourth corner is almost impossible. And I've been in situations putting on that fourth corner of the fitted sheet. I am using all my physical strength, pulling it, and I get it over just enough so that it doesn't fly off. And I'm always terrified with those that my fingers are going to slip, and I'm going to, depending on which corner I'm at, and I'm going to get a knob from the dresser in my back or up against the closet door. With Mike Lindell's 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, 2 fingers and a thumb, all 4 corners, boom, 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 boom. And that's with even the 3-inch MyPillow Mattress Topper 2.0. They're amazing. So go to MyPillow.com and order yours. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. When I was growing up, and I would hear conservatives talk about the Hate America First crowd. And when I was young and didn't know the way of the world, I didn't believe that. I did not believe that there were Americans who hated this country. And then when I grew up and I saw what's going on, that's how the left are. And it's gotten worse than ever for many different reasons. But make no mistake about it, this entire government is being run not just by a Hate America First crowd, it's being run by a Hate America First crowd activist. All right? And that's what makes it even worse than anything you can imagine. Now, there's a new poll out of New Hampshire for the Republican primary, And before I go through the numbers, Ron DeSantis has fallen to 4th place. He's fallen to 4th place. Isn't that something? That's right. Here's the latest poll, Interactive Polls, 2024 New Hampshire GOP primary. President Trump at 49%. Nikki Haley in 2nd place at 18%. Christie in 3rd at 9%. 4th place is Ron DeSantis at 7%. 5th place is Vivek Ramaswamy at 5%. So DeSantis has fallen to 4th place. When is he going to drop out and get back to Florida and take care of business? We've got a lot of problems here in Florida. And our governor has abandoned us. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, isn't that lovely? That's the liberal reaction. Oh, this is a story. Renee from Harlem must be very excited. I'm glad. I used to be a big fan of Ann Coulter, and she was a never Trumper, and when she became a never Trumper, that was it. Did you know that one of the Central Park Five just got elected to the New York City Council last week? And Ann Coulter has a column on this. Yeah. One of the Central Park Five is now, this is what I'm talking about, okay? One of the Central Park Five got they all confessed to this stuff, remember? He got elected to the city council. Ann Coulter has an article, and there's also been written about in the New York Times. The Ann Coulter article is in Breitbart. In an article about the election of Yusef Salaam of the Central Park Five to the New York City Council last week. By the way, did you see that in the news? The New York Times cited the full-page ad Donald Trump had taken out at the time, which never mentioned the Central Park rape, but decried crime in the city and called for reinstitution of the death penalty. You know, he confessed, this guy that just got elected to city council, and he's got some expensive rings on. Holy smokes, he's got rings that look like Super Bowl rings on. Where do you get these rings? I guess there's a lot of money in being one of the Central Park Five. The confessions of Mr. Salaam, that's the one who just got elected to city council, and the 4 others who were convicted alongside him were coerced, they claim in the New York Times. There was no DNA evidence tying the teenagers. When was that rape? It was in the 80s. They didn't use DNA testing in the 80s. Of course there was no DNA testing connecting them. They didn't use it back then. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, 1989. But there was one thing I read in this, other than the confessions. When this guy from the Central Park Five, I'm not going to read through the whole article, but there was one thing. I just find it such a joke that the New York Times says, well, there was no DNA evidence. During the OJ trial, they spent 3 weeks on DNA evidence because nobody understood it. It was new then. In 1989, there was no DNA evidence. They used to use blood typing and such. But there's other evidence other than DNA and things. I mean, what a stupid thing for the New York Times to write. But, that's stupid. They're probably a millennial. I don't know who wrote the article. But this particular guy from the Central Park Five, that got elected to New York City Council last week, not only confessed, would you confess to a rape that you didn't do? How can you be coerced into confessing to a rape that you did not do, knowing you would go to prison, maybe for the rest of your life? Who would do that? But when he got picked up by the cops, Ann Coulter, as much as I despise Ann Coulter, she's got some good information in this article. I was in high school. I graduated high school in 1989. So, I wasn't, I remember the case, but I wasn't following it like I follow news today. And even if I did, that's so long ago, who could remember everything? But this guy who confessed, who is now on the New York City Council, got elected. Can you imagine? When the police picked him up, he said to the cops, I didn't rape that girl. I just grabbed her blank, and he talked about her chest. Well, what's significant about that is the cops didn't tell him what they picked him up for at that point. So before he knew he was being arrested on a rape beef, he said, I didn't rape that girl. I just grabbed her chest. How did an innocent man know what he was picked up for when they didn't even tell him? And he put himself at the scene of a crime that it wasn't even told by the cops yet that he was a part of. But this is what I'm talking about with this Hate America First crowd. What do you think his position is on defunding the police? What do you think this guy's position is on that no bail nonsense? I'll tell you this, if someone took one of those diamond rings he's wearing, I tweeted this article from Breitbart. It's on my Twitter or X, if you've transisted to calling it that, and you can check it out there. If someone took those diamond rings, he wouldn't want them to have bail and would want them arrested, I'm sure. But if it doesn't touch him directly, what do you? So this is the Democrat Party lunatic fringe are now running it. You know, this happened with Tlaib when she first got elected. I can't remember what exactly she did, but she did something really stupid. And Nancy Pelosi, she was talking to the press. They asked her about, I can't remember what Tlaib did or said, but they asked Pelosi about it. And I remember what Pelosi's response was. She says there were some members who have to understand that they've made a transition from being an activist to a member of the United States House of Representatives. And when you're a member of Congress, you can't behave like an activist. Well, those days are over. The Democrat Party is now being run at every level, from the presidency on down, by hardcore Democrat left-wing lunatic activists who, you know what they support? They support anarchy in this country. That's what they support. And when you have one of the Central Park Five being elected to the city council, and I know, oh, that's New York. New York City is a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous place. It wasn't for a while, but it is now. And, you know, you see these crimes in New York, and what's so frightening about them is they do these crimes during the day when they know there's high-definition 4K video cameras on every inch of the city of New York, and they're not even fearful anymore. That's how dangerous it is. So you're talking about people in a city that is going through the greatest crime wave it's ever gone through, because even during the past crime waves in New York City, the criminals wouldn't do it out in public. Most of the crime happened at night. They didn't do it during the day where they could be identified, and they didn't have all the video footage that they have now. And they elect one of the Central Park Five. That's what we are dealing with in America today. Now, listen, it is Medicare open enrollment period, but just for a couple more weeks. This is the only time of year that you can make changes to your existing Medicare policy. If you are a Medicare recipient, call Debbie at I Will Advisors. She'll review your policy at no charge. I had a nice lady who called me last week, and she called Debbie, reviewed her policy, and said, ma'am, what you have is fine. You need nothing. Keep what you got. Isn't that amazing? She doesn't make money on that. She wanted to make sure the woman had what she needed. She has what she needed. Isn't that something? But when you're in need, she can help you. Steve had a prescription not covered, $4,000 a month. He called Debbie. She looked it over. Boom. She got it covered. $4,000 a month. That's more than 2 ounces of gold. Can you imagine? And Debbie took care of it. She'll take care of you too, okay? No matter where you are in the state of Florida, Debbie from I Will Advisors can help. Remember, she represents all major insurance carriers, not just one. So she will find the best policy and at the best company that works for you and your needs. Her number is 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080. If you get an answering machine, leave a message. She will call you back. 954-753-8080. All right, now we have a guest scheduled, and this is a good one. I hope that they don't reschedule on us. It's that kind of person. This very high-demand guest that we have scheduled in the next hour. You will not want to miss this person. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll be back after this.
From the
Be right back, guys.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. Come out to the newly renovated poker room in PBKC, open daily for cash games, high-hand giveaways, mega bad beat jackpots, and big money tournaments like the Bar Poker Florida World Championships this week with big guaranteed events, live streaming, and more. You can also
hopefully that'll get us in
casino table games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em or 3-card poker with $5 minimum tables 7 days a week.
Okay. The VIP guest is calling us, but I've got their cell phone number for backup, but... But they're doing another interview before us somewhere, and sometimes what happens is the earlier interviews, that's why I usually do interviews around 7:30, because usually 7:30 is the first one of the day. So we're like the second interview they're doing today, and if that first one goes long, they'll be late calling us. We're cutting it really close. Okay, I'm going to call them. Hi, this is Brian Craig calling. We have an interview scheduled with the Congresswoman. Oh, okay, great. We're getting ready to come back. Okay, thanks so much. Oh, there she is. Thank you so much. Hello, Steve Kane Show. Oh, hi, Congressman. We are coming back right now. I'm going to put you on hold, and when I say hello, we'll be on the air. Okay, great. Hold on. Oh, who do you think it is, guys? All right, welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. And on the line, we have a household name, one of the most famous women in all of America, who is not only the great, but the legendary Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congresswoman, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Well, thanks for joining us, and I'm going to tell everyone right out of the box, full disclosure, this is going to be a very softball interview because, Congresswoman, I love you, and I think you're the greatest, and I got a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but this isn't going to go like a Pierce Morgan interview, and I'll
Thank you.
No, let me tell you about you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, that is absolutely amazing to me. You are a member of the most disliked body in America, the United States Congress, but you are beloved by MAGA voters, second only to the great President Trump. What do you think it is about you that has made you this living legend that MAGA voters just love everything that you do?
Well, I'm very much one of them. I was never a politician, never had any plans to get involved in politics or run for office in any way. I'm just like them. I hate Congress just as much as they do. So I think that's something that they see in me that we all can relate to, is our federal government is ruining Americans' lives. And it's the terrible decisions in Washington, D.C., corrupt politicians. Politicians are sold out to the lobbyists, the military-industrial complex, and globalists that actually are deeply embedded in our own federal government. And, I'm there fighting for the future of our country, and I very much believe in the Make America Great Again policies and America First policies, and I don't apologize for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's something they relate to.
Yeah, we do. And, when you have these exchanges in these hearings, like, for example, there were two just yesterday I want to talk about. You with Mayorkas, you showed him something that would bring tears to the eyes of a normal person. Two of your constituents were killed by an illegal, probably working for the cartels. And you hold up this photograph of your constituents who were dead because of his policies. And when I saw the look on his face, there was no emotion. What do you think goes through the mind of Mayorkas when he sees so many tens of thousands of Americans who are losing their lives because of his policies? How does he process that?
You know what he said in that hearing? Thank you for bringing this up, because that sweet couple that was tragically killed in Texas by a 17-year-old, so very likely working for the cartel, smuggling illegal aliens into our country. That sweet couple, their children, they had 5 children, will never get to see them again. They never got to say goodbye to their parents. It is absolutely horrific. He sat there with a smug look on his face.
Yeah.
No remorse. None. He was not even sorry. Didn't have anything to say. And Americans are dying every single day. But you know what he said right before?
What's that?
He told Congressman Garcia, a Democrat, that was asked him, what do you think about the word invasion? Secretary Mayorkas said that he was offended by the word invasion.
Wow.
Offended. Can you imagine? Do you know who's offended by invasion? Americans.
Yeah.
Beyond offended. We are fed up. And that's why Mayorkas has to be impeached. He has to be.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, a friend of mine was murdered by illegals here in Florida. And, it was many years ago, and that was in the 80s. And I think about him all the time. His whole life was stolen. He has no children, no grandchildren. His whole life was taken away. And you meet with these families, and their government doesn't care. that their family members have been murdered by people that should not even be here. These are all preventable crimes.
Oh, it's completely, these are deaths and murders and crimes that should never happen, and they would not happen if our government wasn't failing the American people. But to me, it's beyond failing. It is willful. They are willfully breaking our laws and breaking our border laws, and they have created a national security crisis. And it's so out of control to me. It's the number one issue. Absolutely the number one issue. And this is why I didn't vote for the continuing resolution. I'm like, this government doesn't deserve to continue to be funded when it is doing this to the American people. I just, this is why I wrote my book. I wrote my book, MTG, because I wanted Americans to be able to hear the stories that happen behind the scenes. And, most Americans know me as MTG, and they see these outrageous headlines in the news every single day. And I wanted them to have a way to know, okay, there's a person behind this acronym. There's a person that has personal stories. The media doesn't tell the truth. They don't know the truth oftentimes. And so I wrote this book, and I hope people order mtgbook.com and pick up a copy for themselves, but tuck it in stockings at Christmas.
And by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene's book, which is available at mtgbook.com, autographed editions are also available, and they're really they're priced very fairly. So I'm going to be ordering the autograph version, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Also, you had a confrontation with Chris Wray that was just historic about the jihadists that occupied the Capitol. You've been one of the strongest voices supporting the political prisoners, the J6ers, and like Mayorkas, Chris Wray seemed annoyed at you that you brought up these jihadists that interrupted government business at the Capitol.
Yeah, we're having a hearing in our committee, our Homeland Committee, and Christopher Wray in his testimony went on and on and on about how many terrorists have come into our country and what danger we are all in. And then when I showed him actual picture evidence that my staff caught on the organizers when they were texting one another, and it has a group chat called Global Intifada. Intifada means Arab uprising or jihad, like you said, jihadist. He acted like he could care less. He knew nothing about it, and these people came in and illegally occupied the Cannon office building, breaking the exact same laws that January 6th defendants are being held in solitary confinement, being locked up for years and years in prison for, and being tracked down to this day by the FBI with helicopters and tanks in the streets. And it's been nearly 4 years since January 6th, but October 18th was last month. And our FBI director had no idea and acted like he could care less that there were terrorists that came in and actually organized that occupation in the Cannon office building. And I was floored by that. I could not believe it. So I talked with our chairman, Mark Green. We have to continue after this because, none of us are safe. You're not safe on your city streets. And we're not even safe in our own government office buildings from terrorists.
No, and what you did in that exchange with Chris Wray is I learned something that I thought was major news. Of course, no one picked up on it. You exposed the Southern Poverty Law Center attorney who was one of the organizers of this jihadist attack on the Capitol. Blew me away.
Katrina Blakely, her name was in that group chat for the Global Intifada. Intifada, that should terrify everyone. That should put our government on the highest level of alert, because not only was it the lead attorney for the Southern Poverty Law Center, the FBI has been quoting the Southern Poverty Law Center in their investigations into Catholics, which is outrageous. And then also, we can extend it even further. Rashida Tlaib was very involved in that organized group and that illegal occupation on October 18th. She gave a speech. That was the day she gave a speech and lied at her speech, inciting the mob. She said that Israel had attacked the hospital, and it was not true at all. Even our own intelligence and our classified briefings had told us that it was actually Hamas
that bombed their own home
Mm-hmm.
that day, and she blamed Israel, but she was involved in the same group. She is involved in an Intifada group that actually illegally occupied the Canaan office building, is involved with the Southern Poverty Law Center, and she is also, the news broke yesterday, that she's in a Facebook group that has known ties to Hamas.
That's right.
And they're Hamas apologists and supporters.
Yeah, and Facebook allows that group somehow. Now your book, MTG, which is available online at mtgbook.com. I just got a text from my wife. She ordered me the autographed edition of it, Congresswoman. So I'm going to be looking forward to that. I'm going to put your autographed copy of MTG on my coffee table right next to President Trump's autographed book. And now, but tell us. Of course, I tell you, I know I love you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not embarrassed for a fanboy interview, you know. I'm not embarrassed at all. But now, in your book, MTG, I know time's short, but let's talk about your book just for a moment. What are we going to learn about Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congresswoman, in MTG that we don't know already?
Well, you're going to hear the stories about my story on what happened on January 6th.
Ooh.
You're going to hear about when I visited the political prisoners back in 2021 when no one else had gone to the D.C. jail. I actually went in and was able to see them. I tell that story. I also talk about the crazy headlines like Jewish space lasers.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, I have a chapter.
Let me ask you, Congresswoman. I get a lot of calls from liberals here, and anytime they mention your name, they talk about the Jewish space lasers. What should I say to somebody who calls and brings that up to me about you and the Jewish space lasers?
That is a phrase I never said. Never said it. Never even heard of it until I saw the headlines and the stories about me, and that was in the headlines. I could not believe it. Absolutely could not believe it.
Total fabrication.
Yes, complete fabrication. I hope people read about it and get their copy at mtgbook.com. But I also tell about COVID, my experience COVID lives, and my true belief there. I'm unvaccinated, and I think COVID was one of the worst things that ever happened to us. I also talk about getting kicked off committees and
yes.
happening in my personal life while I was being completely destroyed every single day in the news, but a very sad personal story that was happening in my life during that time. That was the only thing I was...
Well, I'll tell you... Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're a congresswoman who represents much more than your district in Georgia. You're representing about 80 million MAGA Americans, and every time you speak up for something, you're speaking up for all of us, and you make us all proud. Everyone, the book MTG, available at mtgbook.com, and I got to tell you, I love it when you host on Right Side Broadcasting. I hope we can see more of that because you're really awesome when you're doing that.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. You know, I'll be at a lot of the rallies coming up throughout President Trump's campaign. We're going to do anything we can to get him back in the White House, and he is winning so big right now.
That's right.
You'll see me on Right Side. I'll definitely be on there.
All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene, thanks so much for your time.
Enjoy the book. Appreciate it.
All right, mtgbook.com is where you get the book. That's where my wife ordered mine. All right, we'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Oh, we're back. Oh, no.
Home buyers, and we pay cash for houses. If you want to sell your home fast and easy without a realtor...
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. No, I don't care. I'm not embarrassed to do a fanboy softball interview. I think she's great. I mean, are you kidding me? She's the best. Yeah, and she's cool.
No problem. We can buy your home no matter the condition or situation. You don't need to clean or fix anything, and there's no commissions or closing costs.
Are you kidding me?
Fast and easy, we'll buy it. Call us today for a free offer. 561-570-7070. That's 561-570-7070. 561-570-7070.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Craig here, telling you about our fifth.
You know, her people reached out to me for that interview, which was just blew my mind. I was in the car with Kathy yesterday, and the phone rang, and it was Marjorie Taylor Greene's people. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you guys, I've done a lot of interviews. That was the only interview I've ever done where I've been like a little nervous. Yeah. That's the only one. I'm like a huge fan of hers. And I don't get starstruck or nervous with famous people or politicians. And that was the first one I've ever been like nervous about. Yeah. Well, thank you, Dee. I appreciate it. No, I was really nervous. And I never get nervous with an interview, ever. I don't know why. I wasn't nervous until she was on the line. Then I got nervous. Well, the reason I think I got nervous is because President Trump's going to hear that interview. And
anywhere in the world at True Oldies F.
All right, we are back. If you're on hold, stand by. Your calls are certainly welcome at 1-888-GO-CANE, 1-888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. I want to just take a moment, though, to talk about Joe Thomas. Oh, man. You know, the economy's a mess. Inflation, it's so high. It's just scary. It really is. It's so scary how much everything costs more. Everything costs more. And it's getting worse. Things aren't going to go down. And, you know, when it comes to retirement, how many times do you hear people say they're on a fixed income? They're on a fixed income. That means they're not in the workforce. They're not making money. Well, Joe Thomas has a plan of action for your retirement that will not only protect your money, stop you from losing money, and also guarantee you income. So you're no longer on that fixed income. You got more income coming in. Joe Thomas is president of the Retirement Network Advisors, which is South Florida's premier retirement experts. And he's been doing that for over 20 years. He's a professional you can trust. We've had him in studio a couple of times. He's a great guy. Plus, he's sponsoring our Christmas music in the middle of the day here on True Oldies, which is a real testament to what a great guy he is. And he's got two free offers. First, he's offering free copies of his book, The Retirement Know-It-All, and free phone consultations. No matter where you're located, I'm going to give you the number in a moment. If you miss the number, go to his website, jupiterjoe.com, and call and set up your free phone consultation with financial expert Joe Thomas. The number 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And again, if you missed the number, just go to jupiterjoe.com. All right, now before we go to call, I just want to talk about that interview. You know, I'm not going to give Marjorie Taylor Greene any difficult question. Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'm not embarrassed by that. You know, a lot of people, they want to try to find something to be controversial. You know, if I was talking to Lee, it'd be a different interview. Marjorie Taylor Greene is the most important woman in this country right now. She is the highest ranking MAGA woman we have. Everything she does is perfect and spectacular. And, you know, what she said in the beginning, she hates Congress as much as we do. And you see that. You know, and one of the reasons she's so successful, you watch these, I just mentioned these two exchanges she had yesterday with Chris Wray and Mayorkas. And, I mean, she's right there in their face. And she's this new breed of MAGA politicians. You know, I talk about this a lot. President Trump has raised the bar that for the expectation of our elected officials by the voters. And she's an example of that. She's this new wave. I mean, look, we thought that DeSantis was that way. And then look what happens. He puts on the high heels, he's running for president, and he's just like all these other Republican uniparty do-nothings. They end up really not being conservative. Not just not MAGA, not conservative. They're all about themselves and elevating themselves. I mean, look at Nikki Haley this week with her national registration for social media users and, you know, and things like this. Is she really a conservative the way she talks? No, she's a war profiteer who's on an infomercial tour for the military-industrial complex, and she should be honest with that. If she wants to go on the air and promote the business of the war machine, be honest. There's nothing wrong with doing commercials. That's how I make a living. But you know I'm doing commercials with people I know and trust and use. But do you know that she's doing a commercial? No, until Vivek Ramaswamy let us know. She was in debt, now she's a multimillionaire from her fake military-industrial complex jobs. She's running for president to promote the business of war. That's where the money is. So there's so, and I'll tell you, I watched our new Speaker of the House, Johnson. I watched the full CNBC interview with him with those two liberal jerks where he endorsed President Trump, and it was beautiful. He filleted those guys. He had two liberal jerks against him. He filleted them both. And our new Speaker, he's in that same mold as Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, there are very few people as tough as Marjorie Taylor Greene, but he's in that same mold, that new era of elected official that we have. I don't like calling them politicians because politicians, the very definition is to be a liar, to profit off of their office and try to advance to the next higher office. So I wouldn't consider the Speaker of Marjorie Taylor Greene politicians. I mean, like you wouldn't consider President Trump a politician. You understand what I mean? All right, now listen, we'll get back on track with our breaks. Callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're going to really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
75th anniversary, and we've been able to help a lot of patients. We want to be able to help you with your neuropathy issues as well. You have numbness, burning, pain, tingling, lack of sleep, or balance issues.
My text messages are blowing up. So I didn't tell anybody but Steve and Kathy about Marjorie Taylor Greene. The break's a little long because we had to cut some spots for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, make sure you guys like the video if you've not already done it. Did you guys watch the Tucker interview with Candace Owens? All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes, Lewis in Palm Beach.
Hi, I'm calling the show. This is the first time I'm actually hearing this show.
Welcome.
Thank you. Just a little bit of background on me. I was a Democrat all my life. I'm 43 years old. Trump actually got me into the Republican Party, and I see everybody starting to wake up. A lot of minorities, including myself. He's what actually brought us to the Republican.
Well, okay, well, let me ask you, what was the one thing that had you leave the Democrat Party and become a Republican? What is the one thing Trump did that woke you up?
It was, I can't narrow it down to one. It was just so many things. The way he called them out on their BS. Can I say BS on the radio?
You can use the letters, yeah.
Okay, I'll use the letters. He basically, he showed how politicians are the ones who pretty much messing up this country. He's not a politician. And he's making it visible so that, everybody can see that, we've been Democrats for the wrong reason. We've been Democrats because our parents were Democrats. So a lot of Democrats into coming over. I agree with a lot of the stuff you're saying on the show. Is just what you were talking about, the Central Park 5. I think it's doing a bad service to people who are in the Democratic Party trying to come over to the Republican side. I think it's slowing us down.
What's slowing us down? What's slowing it down? What do you mean?
What's slowing it down is that, comments that he made about the Central Park 5.
Yeah. Trump.
Bringing people. No, comments that you. Is it?
What did I say? What did I say about the Central Park 5 that slows things down?
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to say is, when people who are going from Democratic Party to Republican who are minorities, when we hear you talking about the Central Park 5, and it sounds like you're saying they were guilty. They were. There's a whole show on it on Netflix, I believe, and it shows how they were innocent.
Well, no. Well, they confessed. They confessed. And what do you mean? Of course. I mean, if the police picked me up and on a rape charge, I wouldn't confess. I didn't do it. Why?
Right. It makes sense, right? The way you say it makes sense. But this is what's slowing the process of. People opening their eyes and coming over to the Republican Party is the disconnect that some Republicans have. I grew up in New York City. Just because they confessed to something, that doesn't mean that they did it.
Really? Who would? What? Okay. What would make five, not just 1, 2, 3, 5? What would make 5 men confess to a rape they did not commit?
I can name a couple of things.
Like what?
One is if you look at how they were interrogated, okay, if they say they didn't do it, and then you interrogate somebody for hours and hours and hours on end, saying that if you confess to this, you can go home. I mean,
well, the particular guy. You're new to the show, so I'm not gonna give you the treatment like I would somebody that's been listening for years. You're new and welcome to the program, and hopefully you call back. But this particular guy that of the Central Park 5 that got arrested and confessed and now is elected to city council in New York City, when he was arrested, before the police told him why they picked him up, he told the officers, "I didn't rape that girl. I only grabbed her," and then her boobs. He said in a slang term. So how did he know that he was picked up on a rape charge when they didn't tell him why they picked him up?
Where are you getting your information from?
There's an article written by Ann Coulter today going through news reporting and interviews of the time.
Okay, so are you basing that as fact? As what?
Yeah, it's been widely reported in many sources in the New York press at the time that he said that.
Okay, but
and then he went on to confess.
Okay, listen, I know there's a lot of. I'll go back to why people confess to crimes, and this is part of that disconnect that I'm trying to tell you about. I can't say a lot of the time, but it does happen. There's people, when you throw a crime at somebody, right, and you say, and you're a police officer, and you're questioning them, and you say, hey, if you just confess to this, we're going to take it easy on you, blah, 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 blah.
Well, that's not even credible. A rape charge is 20 years minimum, a violent rape, if not life. So if someone is saying, well, I confessed because the police said I could go home. Now, in New York City with no bail today, that might be true. But that no one believed that in 1989. Certainly not 5 people. It just doesn't. But listen. The Central Park 5 was in 1989. We've got more important things to deal with in 2023 than old cases from the 80s that have been resolved. And saving America with the support of Donald Trump. Welcome aboard the Trump train.
All right, thank you. But what I'm trying to say on the topic here, with the Central Park 5, they are innocent.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I mean, let me ask you this: is O.J. Simpson innocent?
In my opinion, no.
But he was found not guilty in a court of law by a jury.
Yeah, but that was because police tampering and everything.
Police didn't tamper. There was a racist jury. In fact, one of the jury members gave him the Black Power fist after the verdict was read. They gave him the Black Power fist.
And?
Well, that means that it was a verdict based on skin color. He was clearly guilty.
Verdict based?
Yeah, O.J., he was acquitted. Yeah.
Yeah, he was acquitted.
But he's guilty.
You don't know that.
O.J., I know it. Listen. How did Ron Goldman's blood get inside his Bronco?
Listen, get off this OJ thing. We're talking about your show today, and we were talking about the Central Park 5. Let's stay on the Central Park 5. I could go on and on about OJ. But
well, I'm up against a break, so I'll give you the last word.
All right, last word is, if they're interrogating these people, remember this is the 80s. All right, the police force, they're not the most honest people in the world, especially in New York. Second, these were all kids at the time. I don't know if you understand that. Kids who were interrogated without lawyers present, kids who were interrogated without their parents present, kids who were interrogated for hours and hours on end. It's not unlikely that they would confess to something, under these.
All right, well, even though I said I'm going to give you the last word, I got one question. If the Central Park 5, who confessed to raping the girl, didn't do it, who did?
There was somebody, they showed who actually raped the girl.
Who? Netflix? Okay, all right. Listen, hey, I got to run, but welcome to the show, and we'll talk again.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, we'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on the...
All right, now it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Looking very good and quite positive, in fact. Yesterday we had gold run up and then pull back a little bit to close at $1,959.20, which was actually down $3.50 on the day. All the other metals gaining nicely yesterday. Silver was up 36 cents at $23.42. Platinum gained $10 at $896, while palladium was up $17 at $1,018. This morning we've got gold much higher, up $11.80 right now at $1,971 the ounce. Silver gaining another 38 cents at $23.80. Platinum up $4 at $900, and palladium down $2 at $1,016. So metals are doing very good, holding nicely above support levels and giving us once in a while a nice buying opportunity. But still, gold very reasonably priced, silver reasonably priced, and great buying.
Oh yeah, and now that we're moving into Christmas season, you don't just sell the metals, you also buy them. What are some of the most common things that people have around their house that are made of the metals that are worth money that they bring into you and they're like amazed that they're worth so much money? What are some of the things people can bring in, William Youngerman, and be shocked at how much money they have lying in a drawer somewhere?
Yeah, we still see a lot of sterling silver flatware sets coming in that people aren't using anymore, and those are bringing really good money with silver up around $24. The broken jewelry or out-of-date jewelry that people bring in, they just are amazed at how much just a little chain is worth today. So all that and some unusual things that they just they don't realize have great value. Old watches, paper money that might be sitting in a drawer that was unusual that Grandpa set aside, and
old watches too.
Watches, things like that. Bring them on in.
And you'll. That's right, and you can turn it into cash or turn it into gold or silver, coins or bars or something too. It's up to you. Listen, William Youngman is located in Boca at 150 East Palmetto Park Road on the first floor of the Bank of America building just east of US 1 Federal Highway. He opens up weekdays at 10 a.m. You can find him online at williamyoungerman.com or call. And by the way, no matter where you're located, you can do business with William Youngerman over the phone. His number, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. All right, William Youngerman, we'll finish out the week tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
Back after this. All right, great calls today, by the way. Welcome, everyone. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll go back to our phones in a moment at 1-888-GO-CANE-1. I want to talk about the Dower Museum of Classic Cars. You know, I went there last week. They're open Monday through Saturday till 3. They're located in Sunrise, and this is a great place to go visit. I was by myself and had such a great time, but it's a great place to take your kids, your grandkids, your friends. You will just be blown away at the car. You know, a lot of these cars I've only seen in old movies, and I've never seen them up close and in person. And there's some cars there I never even knew existed, just from the classic days of America. My favorite, of course, are the Cadillacs, because I've always dreamed of owning a Cadillac. And when I was over, you know, Steve grew up in the 50s in New York. And when I was over there, I called Steve up, and I said, Steve, what kind of car did your dad drive when you were a kid? And he told me, I'm like, oh, they got one right here. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. He's like, really? And he named off like 3 cars his dad had. And they're all at the Dower Museum of Classic Cars. But also, this is Christmas party season. If you have a Christmas party, a New Year's party, or any event, whether it's for your company or your family, you can have it at the Dower Museum of Classic Cars. They are perfectly set up for it. And whatever event you have at the Dower Museum of Classic Cars in Sunrise, it will be an event that is remembered for the rest of the lives of everyone in attendance. They'll never have seen anything like this. It's absolutely amazing. Now again, they're located in Sunrise, just south of Commercial on Hiatus Road. You can find them online at dowercars.com. That's D-A-U-E-R, dowercars.com. Or give them a call. And I cannot recommend highly enough having your holiday, Christmas parties, New Year's parties there. It will be an amazing event. Here's the number, 954-748-6271. 954-748-6271. That's 954-748-6271. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on True Oldies, all right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, ID, Brother Brian.
What's up?
That last caller. Sorry about the wind. It's pretty crazy today.
It sure is.
Really set off my spidey senses. I don't believe what he said whatsoever. He's either of Middle Eastern descent, and me not knowing that that particular Central Park 5 has had an Arab name.
Yeah.
And the position that he's in, and the position that he's in. Look where Talib is.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you people that they're already among us, but they cannot very well walk around with AK-47s on their shoulders. It doesn't mean that they are not already set up. I'm sorry to say that something will happen before the next president.
All right. Well, I don't want to talk about things. We're not going to talk about things like that, IB. This is not your living room.
I'll just compliment you on the call with Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was an awesome call. And after the first question, I think you got more relaxed. That was pretty awesome.
No, you know, I appreciate the call. You know, I was telling people during the break in the YouTube live chat room, I have met presidents and very famous people. I've interviewed famous people. And that was the first interview I've ever done where I was nervous. And I wasn't nervous till she was on. And I got a little nervous. And that's because she's so great and so important. And I love her. I mean, you know, every once in a while you get to meet people you idolize. And I don't get too impressed with politicians. I don't get too impressed with celebrities. On rare occasion, though, I have these fanboy moments. And that was definitely one of them. And you know what blew me away about that? I didn't reach out to them to do the interview. Her people contacted me. And that just was very exciting to me. It really was. You know, I had talked to her, though, about her exchange with... I did play the Mayorkas one earlier in the show, but I mentioned the Christopher Wray interaction that she had, and let me play some of that. This was Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday with the FBI director about the jihadist attack on the Capitol.
Ray, do you remember on October 18th when the Capitol complex was illegally occupied, breaking same laws that you have hunted down Americans for from January 6th? Are you familiar with this?
I don't recognize the picture that you're holding.
Well, because maybe your agents haven't been doing a good job into investigating the organizers that broke the law, illegally occupied this very building that we're sitting in right now, and over 300 of them were arrested. Some of them attacked police officers. I haven't seen on the news where the FBI is hunting them down with helicopters, tanks in the streets, raiding their homes with flashbangs, targeting these people, watching these people, throwing them in jail for them to stay in pre-trial in solitary confinement for years before they ever face trial. You want to know what this says? I'll tell you. This is one of the organizers' phones, and this is a chat, and it says at the top, Global Intifada. Now, while we're talking about terrorism today...
I mean, you know, and this is what I'm talking about with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump. You know, a lot of you guys, I mention this sometimes because a lot of you are new to following news and politics. Before Trump came down the escalator, to be a Republican was to be losing constantly. We did not have people who stood up. We had a lot of Republicans that held jobs, but they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. They always were conceding to the left and apologizing. You know, yesterday, one of the things Marjorie Taylor Greene did yesterday is she took to the floor of the Congress and she was talking about Rachel Levine. Did you guys see this? Oh, my goodness. She called Rachel Levine Rick and Richard and used he and him pronouns. And she went through this whole thing. She wanted to cut his salary away down to $1 a year. And she got on the floor of Congress and called him Rick, not Rachel, he, him. And she said she wanted to castrate his salary like he wants to do to America. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Who talks that way? Not very many people. You know, and she takes on the tough issues. And anyone who's out there who's MAGA and fighting for us, you need to get behind him. Her, Matt Gaetz, and look at how many, other than her and Matt Gaetz, who else can you, of course, the Trump family and the president himself, but other than Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, whose name is not Trump, that holds office, that stands up against these evildoers? Not very many, are there? You know, I can't really think of another, like her and Matt Gaetz. And that's why no matter what people say about them, they're always trying to bring them down. You've always got to be on the side to defend these people because they're standing up for things for us that no one else would dare do. You know, we've got other MAGA people. You know, our Speaker of the House, if you can watch that entire CNBC interview he did where he endorsed Trump, you should watch it. Not just the soundbite. Watch the interview. I was impressed, but he's very mild-mannered compared to Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Greene. And we need fighters. We don't have enough fighters. We thought we did on this, you know, with DeSantis and a couple others, and then what do? They disappoint us. They let us down. I mean, look at how many people have turned against President Trump. Jenna Ellis used to be a fighter. Sidney Powell used to be a fighter. And they're gone. And you know why they broke. It's the pressure they're under. Do you know what kind of pressure Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene are under? I don't even think we can fathom the type of pressure they are under to stop doing what it is that they're doing. And they still stand up. It's amazing. You know, Democrats have always been that way. There's always been tons of Democrats who stand up regardless of what the public says and opinion and everything else. But it's so unusual to have, like this thing she did yesterday with Rachel Levine. In the old days, a Republican doing that, they would get 1 day of heat. The second day would be the apology. And by the end of the week, they would have a press conference with gay clergy and gay activists, and they would apologize for the hurt that they caused. But not Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. They double down and triple down and quadruple down, and they never apologize. And that's what we need. We don't have enough of that. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to talk about Dr. Philip Appleton. He's my chiropractor. He wants to be your chiropractor, too. His laser away pain treatment works. Hey, listen, today's Thursday. The weekend begins tomorrow. And if you're suffering with aches and pains, stop suffering. Go see Dr. Appleton and have a great weekend. You know, walk-ins are welcome. Appointments are not necessary, even on Saturdays. All right? And his laser away pain treatment works on so many different types of pain. Herniated discs, rotary tears, tinnitus, sciatica, work injuries, sports injuries, bursitis, arthritis, neck pain, back pain, knee pain. He's repaired my shoulder from 2 different accidents I've had. He's rid me of pain 5 times. Rid me of my arthritis pain, and he wants to do the same for you. You can find him online at AppletonChiro.com or give him a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And remember, there's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Call Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Steve from Chicago.
Hey, Chicago.
Hi, I just want to tell you I enjoyed listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I didn't hear the beginning, so I guess I'm just going to hear the repeat. And because I love her. And also, the other day, a guy called you, bothering you about Nixon and all that.
Yeah.
Because Watergate, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. But the only thing that I really am discouraged about Nixon, even though I was 10, 11 years old, is he opened up the door to China.
That's right. That was his biggest mistake. Bigger than his Watergate slush fund cover-up with the plumbers, opening up China was just devastating. I mean, how many people are dead? Because of that? How many the American jobs are gone because of that? I mean, it's just, that was, and I don't know what he was thinking, him and Kissinger, but they screwed us with that one.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking they were screwing us because I was only 10 and 11, but...
Well, you got to understand, that was the World War II generation, and in the Second World War, they were our allies. They helped, remember what they did for, the Doolittle Raiders and everything? I don't think they could project that they were going to end up being the evildoers that they became. All right, thanks for the call. We're out of time for today. Remember, tomorrow's Friday. That means open phones. We call it Open Mega Mic Friday tomorrow. Any and everything on your mind is fair game. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. See you tomorrow at 6 a.m.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar. WIRK.
All right, guys. Don't forget to like the video. And if you're new, subscribe. All right? Subscribe and like.